calling the meeting to order. The City Council and Community Redevelopment Agency, August 13. At this time, I would like Mr. Cecina to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and Mr. Canada in the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come before you tonight as a city council and as representatives of our community, help us to remember that we should make decisions that are in the best interest of the community and will help our residents and help to bring the council to make the proper decisions and to do the business of the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you.
Maybe they should come to council meetings.
Roll call.
Councilmember Flores.
Here.
Councilmember Nueces.
Here.
Councilmember Prida.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Vice President Canada.
Here.
Mayor Chairperson Cabrera.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, we have a presentation. Is Diane Wright in the audience? Anybody from the Moskowitz Foundation?
She's going to come.
Okay, maybe she'll come. At this time, we'll recess the council meeting and go into the redevelopment agency meeting. And first is the oral communications items on the agenda. This is the time reserved for those in the audience wishing to speak on items on the agency agenda. Time limits 3 minutes. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Okay, items not on the agenda.
Mayor, City Council people. What's going to happen on our assessment? The Supreme Court came back and voted in favor of the taxpayers, said that we do not have to pay the assessment without a vote of the people. It is also my assumption and knowledge that the City Council has spent our 6% assessment money instead of putting it on an escrow account. What I'd like to know today is as of July 31st, 1996, I quit paying my assessment. Are we going to have a vote of the people? Also, if there is to be a vote of the people down the line in the future, I also want it on the record that if one taxpayer pays the assessment of 6%, then all taxpayers pay it. That means all senior citizens, no exceptions, everybody pays the 6% across the line. I'm asking for a vote of the people. I'm asking for a refund. I sent you a certified letter. I also sent the City Council a letter stating that the Supreme Court has voted in favor of the taxpayers. We want our money back, plus we want a vote of the people as soon as possible. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Maybe, Julia, you might know where that's at, the 62. Is that in the court, do you know?
Utility tax?
Is it in the courts?
Yes, it's still in the courts. It may have been resolved in favor of the taxpayers, but the issue of retroactive reimbursements has not been resolved.
Okay. Okay. At this time,
Is there a vote of the City Council coming before the council? So in fact, that we do know for a fact, that as of July 31st, I've sent a dated letter to the City Council, and I'm asking the City Council, the City of Wayne Garden, stop taking the 6% assessment from all taxpayers of the city. Also, I'm asking for reimbursement of the 6% from day one, effective September 25th, 1995, that all money be reimbursed back to the taxpayers of the City of Wayne Garden. I want to know what kind of action you people are prepared to take on that.
okay, no action is going to be taken at tonight, Mike.
Also, Mayor,
Mike,
please.
Mike, you had your 3 minutes. I'm going to ask you to sit down, please. At this time, if there's nobody else, we're going to go to A1, approval of the minutes of June 26th and July 9th.
Move to approve.
Move.
All in favor of this,
Wait a minute, what is the minutes, June 26th?
26th and July 9th?
What happened to June 25th?
They're not in fact.
They were approved
What
before.
are the minutes for that?
They were approved at another
That
meeting.
would have been city.
Well, city had a redevelopment meeting. What happened to June 25th?
It was approved at
When?
another meeting. On July 9th, it was approved.
So why,
It's already been done. Call for the question.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to approve, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
if
Opposed?
I oppose,
Opposed.
opposed, first of all, there was not proper notice for the June 26th meeting. Not everybody was given 24-hour notice. This was improperly handled. The meeting was done improperly. It is still pending in court. So this is an illegal meeting, and I'm opposed to it.
Opposed.
Okay.
The judge ruled in court that the meeting was legal, there was substantial compliance with the Brown Act, and that was her last decision in court. And I have a tentative opinion that was she upheld in court. If you want a copy of that, I'd be happy to give it to you. She said although there was not actual compliance, there was substantial compliance, and if you got your minutes or notice of the meeting 1 hour, 1 minute, 5 minutes after 7 o'clock, that it was still substantial compliance. And as a matter of fact, she had the opportunity to view the video cassettes where it established that you were served with the special notice meeting by 7 o'clock.
Well, she couldn't have seen service because you did it in closed session. Second of all, it is going to be going in the Court of Appeals.
Okay.
The
Oh, you're
law
going to
does,
appeal the decision?
the law does state 24-hour notice is required. Secondly, the judge also wants the 3 council members to be deposed for not
We- we-
appearing
we
for
know that,
the,
Ms.
for not
Navarro.
appearing to the
That's a
council
different
meetings.
issue.
No, that's the same issue.
No, it's a different issue,
Well-
Councilwoman.
Okay, that's going to be decided in court, not here, please. At this time, there was
This is a
a
public
motion and a second,
Yeah, it was-
and the vote was, okay. Let's have a roll
I'd like
call
the
vote.
minutes to
Let's have a roll
reflect
call vote on
my,
that, please.
my response.
Member,
They'll take it
Point
in.
of order, sir.
Member
Mr.
Flores.
Benavides,
Point of
I'm
order.
going to have to ask you to sit down,
Point of order, sir.
sir. I'm going to have to ask you to sit
Is the
down.
meeting being conducted under Robert's Rules of Order or what? Point of order, sir.
Mike
I have a question.
Benavides,
I
I'm
have
going
a
to ask you
question,
to
sir.
sit down, or I'm going to ask you to leave the
Sir,
room.
under Robert's Rules of Order, conduction of a meeting, do I have not the right to question the city councilwoman? I mean, the woman is up there.
No.
She's got a question.
No, not at this time.
The point of order applies to the members of the body.
It also applies to the membership of the meeting, ma'am.
You are not entitled
All due respect.
to ask
All due
questions
respect,
of the
ma'am.
council members.
Robert's Rules of Order applies to all council members and
Well,
citizens.
if I may, for the record, it only applies to certain people. The rules are, Mayor, is that you consistently let certain people talk, and you consistently let other people who oppose your stand here not talk. And it's been
No,
documented.
he talked. He said what he wanted to say.
And anytime
If he
anybody
wants to
else,
participate in this,
There is
he's
a
not
que-
part of this
I
board.
got a question
you
on the floor,
only
sir.
allow certain people to talk and certain people
I have a
not to
question on
talk
the floor
consistently.
concerning Robert's Rules of Order, sir.
I think the man has a right to speak.
He already did, under oral communication.
Well,
Yes, sir, but I have a question on the floor concerning the subject that just came up right now.
There's a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote?
Member Flores.
No. The lady had a
Member
question up there
Navejas.
before the city council concerned me as a
Member
citizen of the
Frida.
city.
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Canada.
Yes.
Chairperson Cabrera.
Yes, motion carried. At this time, we'll go to item
Sir,
B1.
you have a question on the floor. Under Robert's Rules of Order, you have parliamentary procedures, you have...
Okay, Mike, I'm going to let you ask your question, please.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Navajas, you brought up a question right now that concerns me as a citizen of the city. You state that the city council has failed to appear in the past 2 meetings, am I correct?
that's correct.
All right, and they attended today. The question is the judge stated that these people will comply to his order. As of when do they have to comply with that order? The state, why they failed to comply with the orders, why they refused to attend the meetings for the last 2 meetings.
Well, to me, it's very obvious they're not appearing because they don't want to have to be subjected to the recall.
Are they gonna be
Those two
served
items
tonight?
were on the agenda. Now they're alleging fraud and all kinds of falsifications.
Will they be served tonight, ma'am?
They have been served already to appear.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Item-
For the record, they have not been served to appear, Councilwoman.
They've been
Sorry.
served to
You're
be
mistaken
deposed.
again.
No, I'm sorry, I'm not. They have to be
Okay,
deposed.
let's go on with the meeting, please. Item B1, approval of resolution number 96-017 relating to warrants and payroll.
Move to approve 96-017.
Have a roll call vote, please.
Member Flores?
No.
Member Navejas?
There was no discussion. I would like to discuss something about the warrants.
We better finish doing the roll call, then you can ask your question.
Well, normally the procedure is you can discuss it before you vote. I do have questions on something prior to voting. That's the process. And there should be concerns with the warrants. First of all, I'd like to know what the balance is in the CRA account and if there's enough money to cover the warrant. Who is here to answer that?
Well, I can tell you that there's enough money to cover it. I don't have the exact number on the balance.
So you have no balance with the account? And we don't have anybody here from finance to answer that?
Could have called that in earlier today if you
No,
wanted.
I would like to discuss things in public. I think the public has the right to understand where the finances are in the city.
Only information.
So you don't know what the balance is?
I don't have a number for you on a balance.
Okay.
I wasn't prepared to answer about that
Okay,
question.
so you couldn't give me an amount of the
I can't tell
balance?
you the wattage on that light bulb either. so-
Do you know?
Sorry.
Any other questions? If not, proceed with the roll call.
Member Navejas?
I'm voting no. I can't get any clear direction on what the balance is on the account.
Member Prida?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Canada?
Yes.
Chairperson Cabrera?
Yes, motion carries. Item B2, approval of resolution number 96-018 relating to warrants and payroll.
Move to approve 96-018.
Any questions?
Yes. Under discussion? Could you tell me, is this the same account and what the balance is in this account, please?
Warrants and payroll, no, I can't tell you the balance.
So you have no
No.
idea how much are in the account?
No, answer the same question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Call for the question.
If there's no other questions, please have a roll call vote.
Member Flores?
No.
Member Navejas?
No.
Member Prida?
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Canada?
Yes.
Chairperson Cabrera?
Yes, motion carries.
I have one other question. These were pre-issued checks because nobody appeared at the last two meetings. They've already been paid for. Were these pre-issued from the two previous meetings that both council members came?
Mr. Chavez.
I believe the regular warrants, I can back you on that. They've been paid.
What happened to the two previous council meetings? The warrants and that, who approved those?
These are them.
These are them.
Okay. Were these pre-issued and paid prior to council approval?
What's that again?
Were these all pre-issued prior to council approval?
I don't believe so, but I'll go back to you and check it out.
Leonard, you never get back and you never get the information.
Well, you never come to my office.
Leonard, you're supposed to call the council, okay?
Call for the question.
If I may,
Mayor.
who signed on the check?
No need to argue this.
Who signed the check?
I sent the check.
Okay, for the last two council meetings?
I signed, yes,
Okay, so you signed all these previous,
yes.
She's never done that.
okay, thank you. No, it's just that they weren't available to be at council meetings, so.
Continue with the
that's how they
agenda,
paid the
please,
bill.
Mayor.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote.
Point of information, Mayor, please. Mayor, please. Point of information.
Have a roll call vote. Mike, I'm gonna ask you to sit down, please.
Point of order, sir. I got a question on the floor under parliamentary procedures.
I'm gonna ask you to sit down.
I
Second
realize
time.
you're asking me that, sir, under Robert Rules of
I'm
Order
gonna
and
ask
parliamentary
you the
procedures.
third time, Mike Benavides,
I have a
sit down
legitimate-
or leave the room.
Sir, I have a legitimate question on the parliamentary procedures.
At this time, I will ask any one of the deputies to escort this man outside of this room, please.
Ma'am, do I not have a right to speak under
I
parliamentary?
think this is improper procedure. I don't think anybody should be arrested for public.
He is not being arrested, he's being removed.
But you never
Under
removed
parliamentary
anybody
procedures,
else.
I have a
They've
question.
made all kinds
sir.
of questions and
I
concerns
have a
and
question
yelling
on
and
the floor, sir.
screaming.
I do have the right to speak.
Why are you inconsistent,
I am
Pat?
asking to do a roll call vote, please.
You do have the right, sir.
Okay,
I don't think anybody should be escorted out. Certain people are
Okay,
allowed
at
to
this
sit there
time-
and yell and scream consistently.
At this time, we'll go to
I'm gonna
item
step
C1.
down. I think this is improper.
Item C1, presentation of registrar's report.
Move to receive and file.
I'll second that. All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We don't have closed session. Do we have closed session?
No.
Do we have oral staff reports?
No, not at this time.
If not, do we have oral agency reports? If not, we'll stand adjourned and we'll go into city council meeting. At this time, we'll have oral communications, and this is items on the agenda. This is the time reserved for those in the audience wishing to speak on items of the agenda. Council agenda, time limit is 3 minutes. Maximum time allocated is 15 minutes. Please step forward, give us your name and address for the record. Okay, if there being none, we have oral communications, items not on the agenda. And again, you have 3 minutes. Please step forward, give us your name and address for the record. There being none, we'll go to item B1. Before we go into item B1, there's a presentation, belated presentation that I'd like to make, if I may, and it's to Dan Wright. I'll just do it. This is for Dan Wright. Dan is with the Matsu Foundation, and I'd like to read the proclamation, if I may. Whereas the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens wishes to recognize the efforts and service provided to our community by Diane Wright, the Irving Moskowitz Foundation by serving on the Mayor's Walk of Achievement Scholarship Screening Committee. And whereas Diane Wright has generously volunteered her time to assist in the selection process, and whereas the time and service dedicated by Diane Wright in serving to select the scholarship recipient, therefore contributing to help students who reside in the City of Hawaiian Gardens, and whereas Diane Wright's efforts to contribute to help Hawaiian Gardens residents or students further pursue their academic endeavors through higher education. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, Mayor Lupe Cabrera, on behalf of the City Council of the Hawaiian Gardens, do here express our appreciation for outstanding and dedicated service to our community and assisting in the future of our youth. Dan, will you have this? Okay, at this time we have a public hearing. Item B1, public hearing. And approval of resolution number 87-96 relating to consideration of conditional use permit to establish a casino dealers training school. Case number 96-30, conditional use permit applicant, Ms. Srispan Siprus. I can pronounce the name, and she is from the doing business as the South Bay Dealers School.
Okay, Mayor, there's 2 conditional use permits on there.
For the same.
Both of them are public hearings. One is for the parking variance for that property, and the one is for the license. It's a permit itself. Could we possibly take both of them at one time?
Okay, can we do that? Okay. Mr. Colombo or Mr. Chavez?
Yes, I'm the current, Mr. Colombo.
Mr. Colombo, please.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As indicated, the applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a dealer's training school located at 11856 Carson Street, Suite H. This is a property located at the southeast corner of Carson and Clarkdale Avenue. The property basically now houses 2 buildings with 4 tenant spaces in each. Property was built in 1990 and did comply with the 1989 zoning code at that time. The applicant will be, the school will be having a total of 14 students per academic semester. There would be 2 per academic semester. There would be also 2 classes in a given day. 6 people would be in the afternoon between the hours of 12 o'clock p.m. to 4:30 p.m. and 8 in the evening between 5 o'clock p.m. and 9 o'clock p.m. The proposed use is allowed under the Hawaiian Gardens zoning ordinance with the approval of a conditional use permit, as well as it does comply with the general plan. The Planning Commission did hear this staff report and is recommending approval of case number 96-30 by adopting resolution number 87-96. No environmental impacts have been noted, and therefore staff is recommending that a neg deck be adopted as well. However, the applicant is applying for up to a 25% reduction in the parking requirements since it does not comply with the parking requirement under the current zoning ordinance. Presently, there are 27 parking spaces at the subject property, and with the current use being proposed, the number of parking spaces required for that center would be 34. Therefore, there would be a deficiency of 7 parking stalls. However, this request could be looked at and separated into 2 parts, since there is 1 afternoon class and 1 evening class. Since there are only 6 students enrolled in the afternoon class, there is actually only 2 parking spaces deficient in the afternoon and 3 deficient in the evening. So for a total of 7% in the afternoon and 10% in the evening. The entire school, however, would have a deficiency of a 21%, and they are requesting your approval of this. Staff finds that the request is minimal, and it is less than significant, and therefore staff finds that this will not cause a detriment to the general properties or to the mini shopping center, and therefore is recommending approval of both cases by adopting resolution numbers 81-96 and 88-96.
Joe, on resolution number 8896, to reduce the number of parking spaces.
Yes.
If we do that, what is it gonna? Is it not gonna affect the other businesses in that location?
No, they are the number of parking spaces. Presently, there is 27. There would only be a deficiency in the afternoon of 2 parking spaces. Staff finds that would be less than significant. The applicant did also indicate that some of the students would also, not all the students would drive to the school, but they would take buses or find other means of transportation.
So you don't have a problem with the other one?
Public hearing.
At this time, we'll open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak in favor or against, please step forward, give us your name and address for the record. Are the applicants here?
Yes.
I know.
My name is Sue Sisapan, and I'm just trying to open up a training center, and I just want to tell you a little bit about the school. It's a very small training center, and right now we're operating in Lawndale, and if any questions I can answer, I'm here. So
Where do you operate now?
in Lawndale, next to Torrance. We've been there about 2 years now. Another month will be 2 years.
How many students do you estimate that you would serve here or service?
Well, we try to, we have a bigger class right now over there in Lawndale, but according to the parking places here, we have to reduce our number of our students we can have. Usually our classes usually last about 10 weeks, 8 to 10 weeks. So that means we can only allow to have 14 students in about 8 weeks or 8 to 10 weeks.
Any other questions by anybody?
Yeah. Yes. What are the fees for each student?
The fee right now is going about $1,000.
1,000?
Yes, sir.
And how long are you planning on running your students in here? Just Meantime, or till the casino opens, or?
Well, hopefully we'll be here a very long time. Well, as you know, the casino will be open, hopefully in a year or so. That's why I'm out here. And when the casino open, there should be about 400 to 500 jobs open, because there's another casino open up in Compton right now, which is smaller than what's going to open here, and they're going to hire about 370 people. So there should be a lot of jobs opening here, and we would hopefully will be here for a while.
And you deal with these classes that you give there, what card players, what games are you teaching them?
We pretty much teach all games, sir. We teach all poker games, and we teach blackjack game, which is called California blackjack and LA blackjack, and also we teach Asian games. We pretty much teach all games that being played in a casino. And I've been in this business about 8 years, sir. So.
Been in the city for 8 years?
I'm sorry.
What'd you say?
In the business.
Oh,
In the business, yes, sir.
One question I wanted to ask also too, what made you decide to build one here? Because the casino is
Yes, sir.
be
Because
built, or somebody referred you over here?
because the casino is being built here, and besides that, I want to be a little more centralized. Okay, if you look at the map, this is be right close to everybody, even like in Orange County and in Riverside. Because I'm in Lawndale, a lot of people from Riverside don't want to go there, it's too far to drive. So even though the casino won't open, I'd still be better off here than where I'm at over there.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
Anybody in this council call you or ask you to come over here?
No, sir.
Any more questions?
I have a question. Are you the sole proprietor of this business?
Yes, ma'am.
You have no other business partners?
No. I'm the only one with one employee.
Okay, so on your application, your business license in Lawndale, you're the sole owner?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Why are you charging a $1,000 fee per person?
Because our trainings, well, I mean, the overhead, and I have another instructor and myself, and it's quite a long time. It's 2 weeks. Besides that, we assist in job placement, and the students are allowed to go, even though they finish in 10 weeks, they graduate, and they still welcome to come back, even though maybe there's no job open. They're welcome to come back anytime to like refreshen up and stuff like that. So even though $1,000 is a lot cheaper than a lot of school, most of the schools charge about $1,500 and up. So my price is still very reasonable.
How many people are besides yourself? Besides yourself, how many people are in the team besides yourself?
How many teachers?
How many teachers is it?
Only two?
Yeah, myself and one employee, sir.
Charging how much?
$1,000, sir. Yes, that's just
What is your success rate as far as students? What kind of a ratio do you have graduating?
I would say probably 65%. I have a lot of people that drop out and stuff like that, but most of the time, if they're sticking with the school, they always get a job, because it's just like if the jobs open up, then they go try out, which is called auditions. If they pass, then we get a job. If they don't pass, then we'll try out for another one. So right now, it's 6 casinos in Los Angeles area. So there's quite a bit of job open out there. And besides that, we were small enough with small overhead, so we should be able to survive.
Okay. Any other questions?
Yes. You only have one other business, and that's the business in Lawndale?
Yeah, that's the only business I have, ma'am.
And how many students have you had in the Lawndale program?
Right now, I have quite a bit. I would say probably about 25 right now. Because the Compton's open up. Actually, City of Compton have a casinos open up in October 1st.
So do casinos contact you to send your students to them?
Yes, ma'am. And also, I contact them. I go to all casinos pretty much every 2-3 days. I would go around the casinos.
So do you have a marketing program?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What does your marketing program consist of?
Well, I pretty much contact all the casinos, and I pretty much find out what kind of procedures are they looking for as far as dealing, and also I'm talking about trying to get people a job here. I'm there in the casino. I'm pretty much a customer in the casino myself, and as far as trying to get people in, we advertise in a lot of newspaper, 2-3 different newspaper. A lot of them I buy word of mouth, and I also have bus benches and stuff like that.
What casinos do you work with now?
I work with all the casinos. I work with the Bicycle Club in Bell Garden, Hollywood Park in Inglewood, and Commerce Casino, which is in the Commerce City, and El Dorado in Gardena, and there's one more open up, which is called Crystal Park, Radisson Hotel in Compton, and so they should be hiring in about a week or so. Actually, I'm having a meeting with them tomorrow, going through the procedures, what kind of employees are they looking for and stuff, and I'm doing that early in the morning.
Do you get a contract for a specific amount of participants?
No, we don't have, I mean, as far as contract with casino go, no, we don't have a contract with them. We just, all we just do is just try to get students a job, and we just try to do the best job we can. We don't have a contract.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, if we can just ask questions just related to the conditional use permit as it relates to the land use entitlement only.
You know, I don't see any references. Do you have any references here?
As references from the casinos, you said?
Right, or from...
I have it, but I don't have it with me. I didn't know that I can provide one in tomorrow if you want it, but I don't have it with
Could
me.
you forward copies of references about you particularly working with this project?
Sure, I could do that, yes.
Okay, thank
I
you.
didn't know, I would have brought some, but I don't have one.
You can send it to the city clerk, and then they'll disperse it to us.
Okay, so what do you want to do, just like references from the casino as far as like,
The people that you work with and how many employees that you have provided them with, I would like references of who they are you're working with and what the outcome as far as the percentages of employees that you provided them. If you're that good, then they would know you automatically.
yeah, I can do that, but I can say this again, this is a very small business.
So they don't know you, is what you're
Of
saying?
course they know me, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Of course they know me. You can ask all the casino, they know about mine.
Okay, I would just like to get copies of references if you could be so kind.
Yes, we could do that.
Thank you.
It's very gracious of you to offer to do that, but again, you're not legally required to do that. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak in favor or against? Mr. Felton?
I'm Boyd Felton, 21733 South Hawaiian Avenue, Mayor and Council, I guess. What I'm wondering is, what type of screening do they do of these students?
Of the students?
How are they screened?
I have no idea.
Or do they screen them?
I think just if they have that $1,000 to check them bounce.
I would hope there would be a lot more screening than just the tuition, the type of persons that are in it.
That's the latest.
The screening is primarily done by the casino operators rather than the dealers.
Well, that's a good question. What if somebody came and they were a felon, they took their money and they told them they could get
Well,
the
I
job?
think that the casinos would not hire somebody like that, hopefully.
This business is no different than operating a traffic school.
Yeah, but
It's
we
the
can
same.
regulate it. We have a right to vote yes or no for this.
Okay.
I didn't hear you, Joe.
The operation of this business is similar to a traffic training school. People wanting to become dealers go to these type of schools to learn how to deal cards.
And then it's up to the employers.
The employer.
The employers, if they want to hire them, right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
There's no background check required on these people and dealing
I'm sure that when they get hired, like Mr. Colombo says.
No, the
employer-
applicant, whoever is performing this program,
Well, they're just teaching the people how to play the games.
there's no background check necessary for this?
No.
Mayor, I'd move to close the public hearing if there's no one else.
Okay, there's a motion to close the public hearing. All in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Mayor, if I might, I have a couple of comments that I'd like to make before we vote on this. Number one, this council has been for quite some time now setting a precedent of not approving variances for parking because that if we approve this variance for parking, we, in my opinion, would have to approve the variance for the adult entertainment center. I tied the two together in my mind, so my motion is to disapprove the variance for the parking.
But approve the business?
I have no problem with the business license itself, but I think that the variance for the parking, in my mind, I have a reason to disapprove. The business itself, I don't have a reason to disapprove. The parking variances, I do. Therefore, at this time, I would make a motion to disapprove both, and if it comes back meeting the standards, then I would ask that the planning department be directed to do some further investigation on backgrounds and so forth before this comes to the council for the council to approve a business in our community.
I'll second that.
What would they have to do, reduce room space
Yeah, you'd have to.
to conform?
They would have to reduce the number of enrollment.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I think it's a very valid point. As a matter of fact, I was going to ask that question. How can we deny somebody else a parking variance and then approve this one? I can't understand how we can approve the business license and not approve the parking variance.
Well, my motion is to disapprove both at this time.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
That's the reason I asked for them to be tied together.
Okay, thank you.
Can they come back with a revised plan?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think there should be proper background checks done.
Well, that's what I'm telling the planning. I think the planning department should be directed to come back. If the applicant wants to reapply with the proper number of parking spaces at a location, then I think that there should be some type of a background check or whatever to present to this council. I don't want to get involved in bringing a business, and I'm not saying this young lady is presenting a business that's not legitimate and up above board, but I think she needs references and this type of thing before we approve it in the community.
Just for the record, Mayor Pro Tem, background checks are not legally required of businesses that want to conduct businesses, unless it's unique situations like the card club.
Okay, well, references
But
at
if
least.
you want to if she wants to voluntarily provide that information, we can ask her.
But most important is to comply with the parking, I would think. So at this time, we'll have Ms. Colombo.
Mr. Mayor, before we close the public hearing, if I may want to add, if the applicant wants to, they can reduce the number of students in each enrollment period to comply with the parking spaces if the parking is a problem. And I would need to discuss this with the applicant to see if that is a possibility.
Already closed the public hearing.
Oh, it's been already closed? Okay.
But your point is well taken. Okay. There was a motion and a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To close the to deny?
Deny.
Pardon?
Both resolutions?
Both resolutions, yes. Let's have a roll call vote on this.
Councilmember Flores? Councilmember Naveja?
Proper would be to vote aye to deny, right?
To deny.
Yes.
Aye.
Councilmember Frida?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
All right. Motion fails, but you can come back.
No motion
No motion
carries.
carries.
Motion
A motion
carries.
carries.
Okay, it carries to not approve. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have 30 seconds.
You can talk to Mr. Colombo after the meeting. At this time, I'm going to take an item out of the sequence here. We're going to take item E5. And E5 is approval of resolution number 95-96 to approve merger between Continental Cablevision Incorporated and U.S. West Incorporated. Mr. Shidas,
Yes, I believe this is Mr. Colombo.
Mr. Colombo,
I'm sorry, Mr. Odom.
Mayor and council members, U.S. West Incorporated is engaged in a merger with Continental Cablevision, the provider of our cable services in the city of Hawaiian Gardens.
As part of this merger, the U.S. West is seeking approval by various city councils and governing boards for the areas that they do currently service. A package has been reviewed by the city attorney. There have been meetings between U.S. West and the mayor and Councilmember Navejas, and this matter is brought to the council for review, Resolution 95-96, and council, the recommendation from staff is approval of the merger. And I believe cable people are here for answering questions.
What was the recommendation of the committee that met with them, Mayor, you and Councilwoman?
The only thing I'd like to ask, did you review the contract?
Yes, ma'am.
And you found the contract
I
in
find
order?
it to be in order to be approved.
And there's no increase in fees?
That's correct.
Okay.
No increase in fees. Everything is the same. It's a matter of change of name.
There's nothing hidden, any place in it.
I don't know if there's anything hidden. I couldn't find anything.
Okay,
Very well.
It seemed like the same contract to me.
okay, then.
Is the proponent here, Lydia Lee? Oh, there he is.
Good evening. My name is George Noel. I'm from Continental Cable / US West very shortly. I'm here, of course, if you have any questions. I just want to let you know that we are very excited to bring US West as part of our family with Continental Cable. As the competition kind of steams up in telecommunications and different areas that we're seeking to get into, which is everything from data communication, of course, cable television, telephony or telephone services. We are looking forward to the relationship for various reasons, especially to take the expertise from US West, which is the third largest telephone company in the United States, to help us move along and bring the services to the community that they expect in the near future.
Thank you. Is there any questions? If not, thank you very much. At this time, is there a motion to approve?
I think it should be the people who sit on the committee.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Oh, I'll second that, that's fine.
Let's have a roll call vote on this, please, Christina.
Councilmember Flores?
I came in late, so I don't even know what this issue is about.
Under discussion, I would like to just thank the gentleman from
It's the
U.S.
cable
West
division.
for coming out. He was very cordial, and I'd also like to thank Paul Hogan. He did a wonderful job in trying to come up with the resolution on these two items. I'll vote aye.
How did you vote?
I didn't.
Abstain then?
Yeah.
Councilmember Frida?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
Aye, motion carries. Okay, we'll go back to B3. There's the public hearing again and approval of resolution number 81-96 to consider a residential curbside recycling and green waste program and requiring that all commercial and industrial waste stream be processed at a material recovery facility center. Chavez?
Yes, this is Mr. Colombo.
Yes,
Before we vote on this, I would ask the mayor, we had set up a meeting on the committee to meet with Mr. Telesio, and that was abruptly canceled. I'd like to continue this until we have an opportunity to meet with him. I canceled on Monday, and you said you would meet on Tuesday. You called me and you abruptly did not show up.
I had to be out of town, I'm sorry.
What
No, I'm
could-
not sorry, but I had to be out of town.
Yeah, well, that's neither here nor there. Could you reschedule that meeting before we vote on
Do
this?
we have time to talk about this more, or are we on a deadline?
well, we've already passed the deadline.
Pardon?
We have already passed our deadline of August 1st.
Well-
And we did have to contact the California Integrated Waste Management Board, so
This is something we have to do by law.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
I would move to approve this.
If that was the
The
case, then
public
why didn't we do it last time? You guys didn't show up.
Oh, yeah, it's a public hearing. I would move to open the public hearing.
I would just like to say that This is a 45% increase on commercial businesses. And this time and age, it's very difficult for people to make it. Second of all, it's a 19% increase on the residents. I don't think this should be taken so lightly without having committee meetings and looking at alternatives. And you did tell me that you would meet with him prior to voting on this, Mayor. I would hope that you could keep your word and do that.
This needs to be approved.
Mr. Colombo, do we have time to,
Actually, we don't. As I indicated, the deadline was August 1st, and as I did indicate in the previous meeting on July 16th, you've already actually approved a source reduction and recycling element, and I believe that was a 5-0 vote, and I think it was the same council members. And you did indicate that these were the programs you're going to adopt, so we're just implementing these programs.
Well, I just received today, on top of that, I have been asking since that date copies of the contract, and I just received it in my box today. Okay, 8/13, this appeared in my box. And I'm not prepared to make a decision tonight on such a high cost that's going to affect our
The
community.
contract basically, the contract does read that they are, Consolidated Disposal will implement these programs, so we can't go on a bid process. They have a franchise agreement, which I believe was for 7 years, so I believe that was one of the concerns that Ms. Nevaez has, that we could go out to bid.
Well, I didn't have the courtesy to be given it in time to review, Mr. Colombo, which you were supposed to get it to me, which you didn't even show that courtesy.
I don't think I was directed to give you a contract,
Yes, you
Ms.
were,
Nevaez.
by the mayor at the council meeting.
No, I don't believe so.
I
okay,
would
well,
like,
at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, please, and
well, I'm going to make a motion to continue the public hearing.
I'll second it.
there's a motion and a second to continue. Let's have a roll call vote on that.
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Naveja?
Aye.
Councilmember Prida?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
No.
Mayor Cabrera?
No. Okay, at this time, then I will open the public hearing. Anybody wish to speak in favor or against this resolution, please step forward. Mr. Alvarez?
Placido Alvarez, 232 North Boulevard, Unit 45. I don't really know how this works, but I do understand that quite a few cities are adopting this. That's something that's taking place. And there is a $1,000 fine per day if it is not complied with.
10,000.
10,000, I'm sorry. So it's $10,000 per day if it's not complied with. So that means that once they find you're in violation or have not responded as to what you're going to do with the waste, they can start the cost. How does that work?
If they find us in non-compliance, they could fine us up to $10,000 per day.
Okay. Why was it not settled prior to August 1st?
That was my my question. Why, you know, if they knew about this all year, why wasn't it brought up before? Could have done it in January. They could have done last year.
There's not a proper
Mr. Mayor, if I
study.
may, it was
You know,
previously
Mr. Colombo
brought
should have done it, or even the city administrator, somebody.
There's no study done before us, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to vote to increase people.
Yeah, we could have done it in January.
Furthermore, where is the letter that this is such an urgency that it has to be done by August 1st? I still have not received that. Where's that?
That is, there is a letter that
Well,
we
where
do
is
have.
it? I asked
And,
for it 3 weeks ago.
And I can tell you that we've passed the deadline of August 1.
Well, where's
Okay,
the
how much
letter?
how much of the fine have we paid so far?
Huh?
How much have we paid so far?
We haven't been levied any fines yet.
Well, where's
Okay.
the letter that we're
I
going
think
to be
they sent
fined?
I think they sent a letter
But you want to take that chance?
to the,
at
did you say you
$10,000
sent a
day?
letter
Well,
to the?
nobody showed up here, including you.
I think what the problem is somebody's got to grow up. You know, it's been pointing fingers back and forth, and everybody's at fault. So rather than BS and point fingers, let's settle it and get it over with, because they can still continue.
It's something that we have to do.
Yeah,
You know, no longer, no matter if we prolong it, we
it's
have to
games,
do
and
it.
it's sad, but, you know, there's got to be a happy medium to help out the city, not make it worse.
And this is a state thing, it's nothing that we
Yeah.
dreamed of.
I think the increase is, there's no way out of it. I think that's something that's got to be done.
Well, I would like proof that there is that set before us and the deadline, and nobody can produce that to this day, and the public and the council has the right to that information. Why haven't you given that to us, Leonard?
Well, I'm not.
Julia, why
person
haven't we
who's-
been provided that? You're the city attorney.
I know that there's a statutory requirement that you have to abide by August 1st. I don't have the statute in front of me, but I don't know what letter you're talking about, but they also reiterated the statute in the letter.
Okay, could you give us copies of that? I've asked for
I
that
can't
3
do
weeks.
it right now, but I can.
at some point in time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, there being nobody else, I'll close the public hearing. And
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
it's a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Under discussion, I have not, for the record, received any acknowledgement of this. I've asked the city attorney for public information on more than one occasion. I'm not being given that, neither is Renee Flores. We're talking about a 45% increase to commercial businesses in the city without any proper studies, as well as a 19% increase to the residents. I have not seen any studies to show exactly how that's going to impact the community. There has been no community outreach. Normally, something like this, you get the community to buy into it, get them to understand it. There's not even an education process being delivered here tonight, not only to the council, but to the public. So I think this is being very poorly handled by this council, the city attorney, and the city staff.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I do recall sending a memo to Ms. Navejas, and I CC'd the city clerk's department, which I believe was a letter was attached, this so-called letter that Ms. Navejas has been asking for. So Ms. Navejas, I
where is
have to check their mailboxes, but that's where the mail goes usually.
Well, why don't you put
This
it in our
process
packet?
of this AB 939 has been going on for a long period of time right now. It goes way back to the former administrator, and we've been talking about this AB 939 compliance for such a long time, so this is not something that just came out of the blue. As far as the programs that have been identified that need to be implemented, these were identified in the source reduction recycling element and the household hazardous waste element. These were the programs that we said we were going to do. So like I said, all we're doing is adopting these programs. These programs were also identified in the general plan, which was also adopted by the city council. So by not adopting these programs, you would be not in compliance with the general plan, and if you adopt anything else, you would have to do a general plan amendment.
Yes, but for the record, we don't have to, you didn't do a study, you didn't look at different
What study
various,
do you want to look at?
you didn't look at alternatives, you only came up with one plan. You did
Yes,
not
we
look.
did.
What were the alternatives?
You looked at these studies, Ms. Nevaeh, back
What
in
study?
1990 when you adopted the source reduction.
What were the provisions with the different people that could provide service? You provided us one
The
service.
contract says that we have to go consolidated disposal.
Well, I disagree with that. And I do not think this was properly handled. I mean, nobody here understands that they're servants of the residents here and the businesses who are the actual taxpayers, who pay your salary, Joe, and who
Mayor, I
pay
move to
everybody's
approve
salary.
930.
Not going to who pays who.
Well,
Mayor, I would move to approve
Who do you
Resolution
work for?
90-96,
Motion and
Who
please.
do you
second.
work for?
We have a roll call, Christina, please.
Councilmember Flores?
No.
Councilmember Navejas?
No.
Councilmember Peter?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Yes.
Mayor Cabrera?
Yes, motion carries.
If I may, for the record, I'd just like to say again.
At this time, we'll go to item before, another public hearing.
Mayor,
Public hearing and approval of resolution number 89-96 to consider a request by Consolidated Disposal for a 4.68 increase in all commercial disposal rates for 1996, 97. Mr. Chaitis, who's going to have?
This is Mr. Colombo's
Mr.
item.
Colombo again, please.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I believe we have also discussed this at the previous meeting, but and to summarize this, Consolidated has experienced cost increases in tipping fees, fuel, and other standard inflationary cost increases as measured by the Consumer Price Index. They are requesting a 4.68% across-the-board increase for just the commercial services only. The residential service fee will not be increased, and the monthly fee for the additional cart will also be reduced from $3.50 to $1.50. Staff is recommending approval of resolution number 89-96. This is also being requested in pursuant to their franchise agreement.
Okay, at this time I'll open the public hearing. Those wishing to speak in favor or in opposition of this item, please step forward, give us your name and address for the record.
so is this another mandatory August 1st deadline to?
Seeing no one, I'll move to close the public hearing.
No, I have questions. This is not a,
Motion.
if I may, this is.
Public hearing is closed. Ms. Navejas, do you have a question?
Thank you. This is not a mandatory August 1st deadline. They're just, on top of everything else, increasing a 5% increase on the commercial business? Is this another one of those mandatory things?
No, this has nothing to do with the recycling program.
Okay, so why, on top of giving a 40% increase, they're going to give another 5%?
That's correct.
So they're going to give it to the residents and the businesses all at one time?
Did you read the staff report, Ms. Jimenez?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, it's exactly the way it's stated in the staff report.
Well, this is, and you're recommending this?
Mr. Nance, I don't think you have a choice. You approved the franchise agreement, if you recall.
We have a
And
right
this
to
is being
disapprove
requested
an
in
increase.
accordance with the franchise agreement.
It's obvious nobody's sensitive to the community here.
I'll move to approve so we can stop the grandstanding here.
I'll second that.
Have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Flores?
No.
Councilmember Navejas?
No, and if I may, for the record, when the people get their first bill, I'm sure you'll be grandstanding at that time, Mr. Canada.
This is,
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
this is a commercial disposal rate. Yes.
Mayor Cabrera?
All right, motion carries.
A lot of business people live in the city, and our residents.
Item B5, public hearing and approval of resolution number 90-96 relating to amending fee schedule to include domestic violence response, cost recovery fee. Shidas.
Yes, I believe this is the chief of police.
Walter McKinney.
Hello, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, the staff work on this in the first.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This resolution authorizes the Domestic Violence Cost Recovery Program. Annually, the Hawaiian Gardens Police Department responds to approximately 100 cases of domestic violence a year. These calls are time-consuming, and a lot of times we encounter repeat offenders. Under this program, billing criteria, we would only bill people if an arrest was made or the suspect's identity was known, a warrant for the suspect's arrest was obtained from the court, or if it was determined that the victim knowingly filed a false police report. Billing would include the officer's time spent on the call and the booking fees the city incurs. There's an appeal process available. This program would operate just like the other cost recovery programs that we have in effect already, and this resolution is just an amendment to the existing city fee schedule. The intent of this program is to recover costs from domestic violence offenders and not to discourage domestic violence reporting. The staff recommends approval of this resolution.
I have a question. Mr. Mayor, this is a fee just in the case of the items A, B, and C, D. Will there be any mandatory counseling as part of the program?
That would be through the court. This is on the civil side of the case. Through the criminal side of the case, the court could order counseling, and they often do.
Is there any programs in the city now for domestic violence?
Yes, there is. The Coalition for Youth and Family Development has a domestic violence response team, and they have counselors.
And so you refer the residents or the violators to the program as well?
Yes, that's one of the places that we refer them to.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, I'll open the public hearing. For those wishing to speak in favor or against this resolution, please step forward. Give us your name and address for the record.
Seeing no one, I'll move to close the public hearing.
All in favor of this motion indicate by saying aye. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is closed.
Move to approve.
And second.
Let's have a roll call vote.
I have another question.
Question?
Under the resolution, there's a statement here, it says, whereas the City Council of the City of Hawaiian Gardens has determined that the cost of processing domestic violent offenders be offset with a cost recovery program. That's just specifically for the cost of law enforcement, nothing more than that?
Just for law enforcement.
We cannot submit part of the cost to go towards counseling whatsoever as part of a recovery program?
No, that would be something imposed by the court on the criminal side.
Yeah.
Often, they are fined, and part of the fine is used to pay for costs, and they're often mandated to go to counseling sessions that they have to pay themselves.
So they'll be fined by the local jurisdiction as well as fined again through the court system, or there'll be one fine?
the court will find them criminally, and we'll just get our costs back civilly for the time that we spent to process them and arrest them.
I would ask this. Do you check credentials and qualifications on anyone you refer people to for counseling?
The court has a list of places that are qualified. The people that we deal with are all certified. They go through domestic violence crisis training, and they are certified through a state program.
I would like for the council to be furnished with any places and their qualifications of people you refer to counseling, please. Thank you.
Roll call. Councilmember Flores?
Fine.
Councilmember Navarro?
I still have some concerns with this at this time. I'm going to abstain at this time.
Councilmember Prida?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
Aye, motion carries.
Mrs. Navejas, I can't understand why you would have a problem trying to stem domestic violence and recover the cost for people who are committing domestic violence.
Well, I think you would be very knowledgeable about domestic violence procedures.
Not really.
I guess you would be more concerned about that, but I do have a concern if they're going to be fined twice, one at the court, one at the city.
Nothing here says they're going to be fined twice.
Well,
They're going to pay for the cost of the police services, which happens in all communities.
I am.
But that's okay. I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go
Could I
ahead.
finish my line since he's brought that out? I'm very concerned that, number one, that's important that they pay the fine, but I want to know that there is a format that, all the money is not just put through. I mean, for all we know, the way things have been spent here, I don't know if that money's going to get back to the local level. Second of all, I want to know that they are going to seek counseling because the fine is not enough. People need to be educated.
That's up to a judge. We can't enforce that.
Well, you can't ask the judge to impose certain things.
I think the law enforcement does that. Could you address that, Chief?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, it's routine that the courts mandatorily impose rehabilitative, intervention beyond whatever the court sanctions. Usually there's no fine in the domestic violence issues just because a fine isn't the issue. They may pay some court costs, some filing costs, some maybe some urinalysis cost if there's an alcohol or a drug problem, that type of a thing. But most of the money is paid to the private vendor who the court refers them directly to do counseling services. In our case, we're just recovering the cost for the police response to their house. It basically is just our way of recovering the cost for doing that. Hopefully, in a subliminal way, it will keep the repetitiveness from happening. And that's about it. We don't really partake in the rehabilitation part of this. Although in a crisis, and which may be what the Mayor Pro Tem is speaking of, in a crisis situation, we do call people out that are certified, and they help just manage for the family the crisis into the next day type of a thing, into the next several days, and assist in restraining orders and emergency stay-away orders and that type of thing, and housing locations if they need to relocate in an emergency. The long-term treatment is mandated by the court.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor. Okay. At this time, we voted on that, Christina.
Yeah.
At this time, we'll go item C1, ordinance, second reading and adoption of ordinance number 434 to amend chapter 9, section 9.22.020 relating to unnecessary noise, and to add chapter 9, section 9.29 relating to noise control into the Hawaiian Gardens Municipal Code. Case number 96-28 MCA. City of Hawaiian Gardens applicant, Mr. Chavez.
Yes, this is an item Mr. Colombo's been working on for quite some time.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, this is here tonight for a second reading. Staff recommends adopting ordinance 434.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Navarro?
Aye.
Councilmember Prida?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
Aye, motion carries. Item C2, Second reading and adoption of ordinance number 435 to add chapter 6.13 relating to the prohibition of scavenging into the Hawaiian Garden Municipal Code. Mr. Chaitis,
This is also Mr. Colombo's item.
Colombo.
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Again, this is also an item we heard on previous meeting. This is here tonight for a second reading. Staff recommends to wait for the reading and adopt ordinance number 434, which relates to prohibition of scavenging.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Let's have a roll call vote on this.
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Navejas?
Abstain.
Councilmember Peta?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
Aye, motion carries with one abstention. City Council minutes, D1, approval of City Council minutes, special joint meeting June 26th, and regular council meeting of June 11, 1996.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
All in favor of this motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a discussion. There's no July 9th. Was that done in the beginning? There's June 26th, now there's June 11th.
It should have been in the package that you received 2 weeks ago, Councilwoman. I think I remember receiving a note to that effect from the city clerk.
I don't think these are complete. These don't coincide with the other minutes.
Well, July 9th?
Well, the
Here
other
it is.
minutes to July.
July 26th and July 9th.
So mine
Oh,
has-
that's the redevelopment agency. Oh, no, it's not on here. Not in this area yet.
These are not in concurrence with the other minutes.
Have they been finalized?
I don't think so.
They haven't been finalized.
Why weren't the minutes approved in the redevelopment? Why was June 11th left out of here under redevelopment?
Two different people do them.
No. Why, it says minutes for city council and community redevelopment. Why does the city council have June 26th, July 11th? This one has July 9th and June 26th. Why don't they coincide?
Because one is done by Christine and one is done by Rose.
They have to be approved under both agendas.
Not at the same time. They're not ready.
They're not ready?
Why not? Why are they ready for one and not ready for the other? Because I didn't complete it.
I think Christina was absent. She had a death in the family and she wasn't here. So
But Christina's basically a volunteer. What is
Christina the one that does the minutes.
Christina's an appointed deputy city clerk.
well, the city clerk is responsible to make sure that these are in order. So please don't put the burden of responsibility on Christina. July 9th is not here and they should have.
Okay, we know that. We all know that
Christina
now.
does those minutes.
Okay, let's have a,
And she wasn't.
they're not completed,
So if they're not.
they're not completed, they're not here. And can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores?
No.
Councilmember Navejas?
No.
Councilmember Peta?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Yes.
Mayor Cabrera?
Yes, motion carries. Item E1, resolutions. Approval of resolution number 91-96, declaring 6 parcels to be public nuisance and setting public hearings to abate said nuisance. This location include the following: 22019 Juan Avenue, 12353 22nd Street, 222nd Street, 21312 Norwalk Boulevard, 12145, and 12231 East 12th Street. Mr. Chavez?
Yes, this is Mr. Colombo's.
Colombo?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As indicated, there are 6 properties where there are complaints regarding public nuisance. However, 4 of these properties have complied, and therefore I would ask the City Council to remove these from the agenda, and that would be the first parcel, Ms. Bollinger, on 220191.
Okay.
The other one would be Ms. Peck, I believe that is on 12353 222nd Street. The other one would be Mr. Haynes, removal of graffiti, that was taken care of on 12145, 12147 216th Street. And the other one would be Mr. Albers on Norwalk Boulevard, 21312 Norwalk Boulevard. These people have complied and have made substantial progress. So staff is recommending that these properties be taken off resolution number 91-96. The other two properties, 22210 Sane Avenue, I believe that's Mr. Aragon. Staff has observed substantial progress on this property. The front yard has been cleaned up entirely, and they are now working on the rear yard. I believe they have asked the Community Development Department for a 40 cubic yard bin to remove some of the other debris they have on the property, so staff would recommend to continue number 5. The other property is 12231 East 212th Street. That would be Mr. Osborne. He also has shown substantial compliance and has actually ordered a bin free of charge from the city and has disposed of a full 40 cubic yard container, but he does have some more he'd want to get rid of, so staff recommends continuing 5 and 6.
Move to continue.
So how many properties do you have left here?
Just 2, and we're recommending continuance because they have shown substantial progress.
So the motion was
To continue the resolution, the item.
And remove the first 4.
Okay, and motion was to, a motion and a second to continue. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Under discussion?
On the discussion,
Yeah, I wish you would remember that. That's very important. Yes, under discussion, could you tell me how you...
if not, you'll remind me, right?
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would you tell me how you got the complaints filed? Were they from other residents? Who filed the complaints on these, or how was the complaint procedure?
The complaints can be registered through different sources, different ways.
Okay, did you receive complaints in writing, or were they verbal complaints?
Some of these can be over the phone, they can be over the counter, they can be by staff. It's really irrelevant how they're recorded.
No, I think it's very relevant because I've been seeing a continual procedure within the last year of selective enforcement by the city and by certain code enforcement people here. I've received calls from some residents that they've even used mine and Renee's name, that we have personally filed the complaints against them. I have documented that. And so there is a real violation in the way the procedure is being handled at this time. Some people are very politically involved and using it for political reasons. I think that we need to find a proper procedure that does not violate people's rights. Mr. Flores was a victim of that, and until the press came and documented everything that was said, Mr. Colombo personally went on the record that it was just basically political. And I've always supported in the past to enforce code enforcement. And unfortunately now I've seen a continual selective enforcement procedure based on people's political views, as well as on people's, what I think is an abuse of authority in this city hall. From the city attorney's office to the city administrator's office, there has been a continual abuse.
Call for the question.
Ms. Navarro, have you ever went out and checked some of these properties? Area? And you found that they were
Well, what I don't
reasonably...
understand is you and your sister own an enormous amount of property that have some real violations. They're not touching your property. There are only certain people that we're selectively enforcing.
I agree.
Like Boyd
There are
Felton,
some people
right?
who get very political.
So, okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Well, maybe we shouldn't do any abatement.
Well,
Just
could
let
you-
it go.
Well, yeah, we could do like she directed when she was running for office and not do any code
Could you tell
enforcement.
me how Mr. Ramirez, how he all of a sudden got contacted by Freddie and yourself, that Renee and I told you to go out there? Do you have any answers to that?
Ms. Nemes, you've been known to make up a lot of stories, and
Yeah,
I'm pretty
well,
sure.
you have
as
to.
usual,
Okay.
These are false
Well,
as
he's
well.
put that in writing, and you...
Let's,
That's good.
let's go on. The motion was to continue.
And did we vote?
Did we vote?
I think Rosh you want to throw in.
Okay,
This is the worst
there's a
selection
motion
I've seen.
and a second to continue.
Not the worst I've seen.
All in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
You opposed to continue?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I will continue.
Thank you. Okay.
Excuse me.
And at this time, we'll go to item E2, approval of resolution number 92-96, confirming public nuisance abatement cost at 22021 Norwalk Boulevard. And again, Mr. Colombo?
Yes, this was an abatement that was conducted by staff at a property located on Norwalk Boulevard and 221st Street, known as the old ARCO station. A warrant was obtained and issued by the Los Cerritos Judicial District on July 3rd, 1996. Public Works Department removed the nuisance, which was primarily scrap metal, junk, and overgrown vegetation. The cost came to a total of $2,179.02. Staff is recommending to adopt resolution number 92-96. This is a repeat offender, and we are constantly cleaning this property up.
Move to approve.
And second. Any discussion? Being none, there's a motion and a second.
Yes, I do. I have a
Okay.
question. Who is the property owner?
It's on your staff report, I believe.
Pardon me? Who?
I believe his name is Mr.
It's not mine, is it?
No, we wouldn't see yours.
No.
They should be, though.
Mr. Hugh, I believe the property owner is.
Who?
Mr. Hugh.
It's not political.
Mr. Who?
We are.
Mr. Who? Who's on first?
Who's on second?
Second. Do we have to disclose the name?
It is public record, there's no need to highlight it.
It's the property owner, Louis and Samuel Hugh, in Sepulveda Boulevard in Torrance.
Call for the question.
What's the name of the business?
It's not a business, it's a vacant lot, if you note in the staff report.
Call for the question.
Let's have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Rivera?
Once again, I'm going to abstain based on my further discussion.
Councilmember Frida?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Yes.
Mayor Cabrera?
All right, motion carries. Item E3, approval of resolution number 93-96 for authorization to execute a residential waste indemnification agreement between the City of Hawaiian Gardens and the County Sanitation District Number 2 of Los Angeles County, Puente Hills landfill. Mr. Titus?
Yes, this is an item from Mr. Colombo.
Colombo?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As you know, the Puente Hills landfill is not authorized to accept hazardous waste. And therefore, the city has been pretty active with other local communities and the County Sanitation Department and the County Public Works Department to reduce the risk of illegal disposal of hazardous waste by participating in the household hazardous waste roundups that they hold at the Long Beach Veteran Stadium, I believe. Entering into this agreement with the Sanitation District would basically indemnify the city for any lawsuits, and the city would be given related legal defense by the Sanitation District. Staff's recommending approval of resolution number 93-96.
Move to approve.
Any discussion? There being none, all in favor of this resolution indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E4, approval of resolution number 94-96 to consider a proposal to conduct a radar speed survey on certain streets. Mr. Chavez?
It is to Mr. Colombo.
Mr. Colombo?
Yeah, as in the past, every 5 years, the city conducts a traffic radar survey. The previous report was prepared by traffic safety engineers at a cost of $3,800. That was, I believe, approximately in 1991. The same proposal was submitted by Mr. Huey Lai, and has been approved by Wildan and Associates, our city engineer. Staff is recommending to approve resolution number 94-96, which would authorize a radar speed survey so that the police department could use their radars.
Is this costing us anything?
$3,800.
Okay, then we'll have a roll call vote.
I need a motion.
Okay, is there a motion?
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Under discussion?
Under discussion.
Thank you.
Let me think.
On the radar street survey, you have 1 Avenue to Norwalk Boulevard, Pioneer Boulevard to 1 Avenue. How did you come up with these streets? What was it, was that because of, based on,
These were the same streets that were surveyed in 1991. And I believe these streets have been reviewed by the police department, and they are recommending that these same streets be resurveyed.
how did we come up with only these streets? What was the purpose? Based on accidents, what was the reasoning why only these streets?
These are the streets where they could use the radar.
These are the only streets they can use radar on?
I believe, is that true? Or maybe Mr.
Could I ask,
McKinney could comment on that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm not an expert in the traffic arena. However, there's a certain criteria, and it's based on width of the street, length of it being linear, totally straight, without intersections. And there's that type of a thing where radars are feasible. And I think that's where the traffic safety engineers come up with that. Those streets that are surveyable, if you will.
so they just think that they took the same report as they had in 19 what?
1991.
Yeah.
Because there's been no change in the status of the street.
Well, I have a concern because 226th Street is not put on here, and there has been a change in the number of residents on 226 and the number of vehicles. And there is what I consider an enormous amount of cars racing up and down there, and there's no study for 226th Street that I can see here.
I would tend to agree with Mrs. Nevejas on it, having lived on 226. They're speed up and down this street. Also, Juan Street from Carson going north. It's a long stretch of street there. And I had this weekend, the mayor and I were talking during the blackout. We're standing outside, and 3 or 4 people said something about that street and the way cars were racing, and we were watching, and they were racing up and down that street. People speed down that street, and they get up to a good clip coming from the church to Carson and by.
And we've had a little girl hit there already within the last year.
So I'm sorry, the street was 1 Avenue north of Carson?
Juan Avenue going from Carson going north.
North. Well, between 214 and Carson.
Right, 214th to Carson. It's a straight shot from 214th to Carson. And
So the street is Carson then?
no, it's Juan.
Okay, on 1.
And 226.
And 226.
226, right.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yes.
Okay, well, we could have our city engineer take a look at that and see if we can include this in there if permissible by the California Vehicle Code.
Well, and the other thing that I have is we're just limiting to it. I mean, every street, you know, there's been a lot of residential building over the years since 1991.
Right, but I believe as Mr. McKinney was stating, not every street is eligible to where radar could be used. There has to be a certain width. And I'll need to check with the vehicle code as well as the city engineer on that.
Well, where is the study that shows that these streets fall within that ramification? I mean,
These are
I
the
support
streets.
this, I just think that,
These are the streets being recommended by the traffic engineer.
I don't
Could you check on the some of the other
And
streets?
we will check on 226th Street as well as 1 Avenue.
speed survey. Where's this study that he did to come up with these? The other study?
Study what now?
How did he come, I mean, Walter's telling me how he came up with these streets. There's some sort of study that falls within those guidelines, or some sort of ratio. Where is that ratio that these fall into those guidelines, and where's whatever study he did that these are allowed to?
These were the streets that were identified by the traffic engineer that are eligible for radar use.
Well, this letter is dated October 28, 1995.
That's correct.
1 year old. A little late, but I would like to
It's not
continue.
1 year old. The business owner has been trying to get this on the agenda, and it is here before you now. And we've been contemplating because of the amount of monies involved. And this is something that has to be done if we want to continue to use radar.
Well, I support this effort. I just really feel that a letter coming 1 year later without giving all the proper information and other streets and residential use since 1991, that, if we're going to do this, let's
Ms.
do it
Neves, you
right.
have approved the same survey, the same consultant in
I have a
1991.
right to
And now,
ask any
5 years
question I
later, you're
want.
questioning this.
I have a right to question anything I want to. I
Call
don't.
for the question.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Flores? One moment, Mr. Mayor, may I ask that we get the study? Could I get a copy of the study?
I think so, if you come into Joe's office.
It's not an actual study. These are the streets
How
that
did
have
you
been
come up with
identified. There is a formula that's used by the traffic engineer that identifies what streets, by the width of the street, that the radar can be used. And I can provide that formula or regulation out of the vehicle code or whatever code that's obtained from, and I can give
Would
that
you
to you.
please give her the
Yes, I will.
information, Joe, so we can move
Sure.
on?
Call for the question.
Let's have a roll call vote. Christina, please.
One other question, are you amending that to add the additional streets?
No,
I've asked him to look at the additional streets. I don't know if he can do it. I would amend my motion to add the additional streets based upon the traffic engineers and the formula used to
if they qualify.
do them. If they qualify, I would amend my motion to include those.
And also, could you amend it to get an updated, this is 1 year old, this 1 year old.
I think
To
that
add-
The streets haven't changed since the last year.
I disagree with that. Could you ask to have, so kindness to ask to give us an updated, not a 1 year old report?
To get an update,
Does it
we have
cost
to go to
money?
the engineer and do,
Ms. Neves is referring to a letter attached to the staff report.
I know.
And it's dated October 20, 1995. It's a letter asking the police chief that our time is up to do this survey. Nothing has changed within the last year. The streets have still remained the same dimensions. We haven't added any additional streets as well. So we have had recent conversations with the consultant, and he would like to do this task if possible. And it has been approved by our city engineer.
Just
okay.
As far as the cost
One other
estimate.
thing, you're saying the streets haven't changed, but what causes traffic is the change of residential property, and there has been an increase since 1991.
What triggers the use of a radar is not the increase in traffic. It's whether or not the street width, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. McKinney, it's the width of the street that determines when a radar can be used. It's not whether the number of vehicle trips increase or the number of development has increased. And as Mr. McKinney has indicated, and I don't know as well what that magic number is, I don't want to be throwing numbers out there, but there's an actual number identified in the vehicle code. Has nothing to do with vehicle trips, increasing vehicle trips, has nothing to do with new development, has nothing to do with this letter being 1 year old. The streets have remained the same for the past years.
Christine, could you read back the motion, please? So we know what.
The motion was made by Mr. Canada with amendment to include the streets 1 Avenue between 214th and Carson and 226th Street.
If they qualify.
Okay, let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Neves?
Received all the information concerning the study, if you would be so kind.
Councilmember Peta?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Chair Consent.
Motion passed. Please, Joe, give her the information.
Yeah, I mean, they used to give us all that in the packets before, all the studies, everything. Thank you.
Okay, and then this time, your item is 6. A resolution, approval of resolution number 96 to approve lease agreement by and between the City of Halloween Gardens and the Community Service Organization for the youth of the Helen Rosas Education Center. Chávez.
This is Mr. Hogan's item.
Honorable Mayor and council members, Community Services Organization has approached the city and request the possibility of renting, releasing the, one of the upstairs rooms at the Helen Rosas Education Center. Through negotiations with Mr. Marco Palma of the CSO and discussion with the mayor, we have come up with an agreement and a resolution for the leasing of this facility to the Community Services Organization. And because of the beneficial aspects of this organization to the community and the residents of this community, and the need or the ability then to also for the city to get some income generated from this facility that to this time has been underutilized. Staff is recommending that council approve resolution 96-96.
Move to approve.
And second. Any questions?
Yes, this is an organization that's out of Los Angeles. What services do they intend to provide?
Is anybody here from CSO?
And CSO's been in our community for a long time.
What services do they provide, or they intend to provide?
What they have been providing in the city to this date has been education of residents for citizenship classes. They have a camp out in Fraser Park that they are going to be opening up to residents of the community that was available.
They haven't been providing it in the past?
Not that I'm aware of.
We've never asked.
They receive county funds as part of that, okay. What else do they do?
To this time, this is the extent of what I've been informed is that they plan to do there. Possibly get more involved with the youth is something else with the opening of the camp that's been discussed.
What's discussed with the opening of the camp?
Pardon?
What is the camp they're going to open?
They have a camp out in Fraser Park. They have indicated they would make available for residents of the city.
And they have not provided that in the past, and they've been here so many years?
It's been available, but we've never asked.
Oh, but they should do that if they're here and they really care about the community.
I think they've tried to participate in the past, but they were shunned. Is what they have.
Well, I don't know how anybody could shun a local community organization that wants to give away
Well-
camps. How could they stop the children from participating?
Well, they have been, and some people on this council are very good at that. So at this time, can we have a roll call vote?
If I may, I still have other questions. Are they currently funded by any organization?
I'm not aware of their funding.
I thought you said they were funded by the county.
No. They're currently, but you have no idea of what funds they receive? at
They
this
have a
point?
credit union. They generate some of their own funds. They have an insurance program. They rent a hall. They own a building on Chicago Street in East LA someplace. Walter, you might be familiar with that organization. And
I know they have facilities throughout the county.
Right.
There's one up in
Fresno.
Monte.
Fresno, up north we have.
So are residents taking, since they've been here so many years, have they been able to use their credit union, any of their services?
If you want to, but they have quite a membership, mostly Latino people or people of Mexican descent.
No, I'm very familiar with Mr. Rios. He's a very good person.
Call for the question.
Okay, is there a motion and a second?
Moved it.
Okay, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores,
I'm going to abstain.
Councilmember Noeja,
Abstain.
Councilmember Frida,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada,
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera.
Aye, motion carries. Item 7, approval of...
If I may, one
Approval of
thing for the...
resolution.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, if I may, for the record, you know, the Coalition for Youth Development has come up here and asked for resources and funds, and the 3 council members have denied them on a consistent basis. They're a local organization providing local services. They were denied a bus. They were denied the rodeo. And I really believe this is just a way to try to stop the coalition from being able to continue funding some of the programs and services.
This organization is paying, getting a lease, they're paying rent on that lease. We gave the coalition a building for $1 a year.
You don't even have an outline of what you want them to do. You don't even know what programs they have.
Move the agenda, please, Mayor.
I'm sure you
At this
do.
time, we'll go to item 7, approval of resolution
Sure
number
you want to move that agenda.
97-96 relating to warrants and payroll.
Move it.
I'll second that. Any,
Yes. What is the balance in the account? Does anybody know?
No, I don't have that number.
We have a $80,000 a year city administrator. Can't tell me the balance of this account.
okay, can we have a roll call vote?
One other question, for the record. We have no balance of the account. Do you have enough funds to cover the warrants at this time?
Yes, I do. Call for the question.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Flores?
No.
Councilmember Reyes?
No.
Councilmember Frida?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Yeah, I think I'd like to pay the employees and the bills.
Mayor Cabrera?
We should know the
If I
balance.
was to vote no, nobody would get paid. The bills won't get paid, even though we have money in the account. No, I vote yes.
You didn't
Pay
show
the
up to
salaries and
meetings
pay the
and you paid bills?
Motion carries.
And never even came back for a vote.
Item 8, approval of resolution number 98-96 relating to community development block grant, housing rehabilitation grants for property located at 12550 Carson Street, space 54.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, if we may, if I might, we may be able to take the next 4 items at the same time. They are related. They're different applicants, but they all rehabs in the mobile home park.
Would that be 9, 10?
So that would be 8, 9, 10, and 11, I believe.
I will move 8, 9, 10, and 11 be approved.
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Flores?
Aye.
Councilmember Reyes?
Aye.
Councilmember Frida?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Aye.
Mayor Cabrera?
Aye, motion carries. Item E12,
Are these out of HUD funds, Section 8 funds? Where are these funds coming from?
CDBG. Approval of resolution number 102-96 to consider finding the city to be in conformance with the congestion management program and to adopt the CMP local implementation report in accordance with the California Government Code Section 65089. Chair,
This is Mr. Colombo's job.
Mr. Colombo.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, with the passage of Prop 111 in June 1990, the city and other municipalities are required to adopt a congestion management program, which basically addresses regional congestion by linking land use, transportation, air quality decisions, develops a partnership among transportation decision makers, and devises appropriate transportation solutions that include all modes of transportation, and proposes transportation projects which are eligible to compete for the state gas tax funds. This program is required to be implemented in order to continue receiving the city's share of the state gas tax money allocated under Section 2105 of the California Streets and Highways Code, and as well as to preserve other eligibility of other funds received by the state and federal level.
Move to approve.
Thank you.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Okay, under this, was this recommended by the League of California Cities?
This has nothing to do with the League of California Cities.
Has nothing to do with the League of California Cities?
No.
Oh, who's recommending this?
The Community Development Department.
Pardon me?
The Community Development Department.
And what is this, why is this all of a sudden put on here?
It wasn't. It's done every year. If you remember, you've adopted it the previous year and the year before that and the year before that.
And this is to comply with the California Government Code, correct?
Section 65089, yes.
Okay.
Call for the question.
Isn't that something you just dream up?
Well, I'm wondering,
Okay.
the reason I asked the question, I know you guys think it's funny, but I would just like to find out how this study affects future development in the city?
Ms. Levias, you like to use that word a lot, the study and the parking requirements, all
Well,
this stuff.
that- you
You
know,
obviously
you-
don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with,
He
He doesn't
with
understand.
studies.
He's a
These are
service.
reports that are mandated by Prop 111 that was voted by the people.
Okay.
If you don't report, if you don't comply with this report, you won't get your state gas tax monies.
Well, that's been a...
Call for the question.
Wait a minute, that's a very valid point.
Wait a minute, call for the question.
Understanding that the gas tax money has been audited, what happened with the gas tax?
This has nothing to do with the audit.
Well, you said we couldn't get the gas tax money. unless
This
we did
report has nothing to do with an audit that's being done by the state
Okay,
auditors.
but this is to continue receiving gas tax funds,
Yes, and we
correct?
are receiving them every day.
You
Call
know,
for the
if I
question.
may, Mayor, this is a staff person, and I think I have a right to ask any questions. I think it's very improper. Very rudely.
He's not.
Very rude.
Well, you're
Well, you know, I am the elected official here, and I do have a right to ask questions.
Give you a privilege to.
We're elected officials, we're not...
It's obvious that we have no courtesy here.
Common courtesy works two ways.
Well,
That's the
that's
question.
correct. Okay, my question is that if this is for the gas tax funds, the study is done based on revenues generated from gas tax. Is that correct, Joe?
No, this is a report that basically, it's a report card basically. It keeps track of impacts on the transportation system, assigning positive points to various traffic improvements and negative points to new development, which would have a negative impact on the transportation system. We've with this economy and all, we've had a very sluggish development season, so there hasn't been any development that has impacted the transportation system, nor has there been any programs that has relieved congestion on the traffic systems in the city of Hawaiian Gardens or even regionally. Therefore, our ending balance still remains the same at 1,220.2 points. So we haven't gained any points, we haven't lost any points. We still have the same amount of points we had last year, so we're still positive. This is an annual report that's filed with the state.
And nothing changes from year to year? It's always the same?
It does change from year to year if there is any progress in development or any new programs that are implemented to relieve congestion.
Okay, and what year is this study for?
It's a 1995 fiscal year. I'm sorry, 95.
So it's for the year of 1995, not 1996?
Right.
So we haven't even done the study for 1996 yet?
Nope.
We're a year behind on this?
No, we're not.
Pardon me?
No, we're not behind.
Okay, when is the 1996 study due?
97.
Call for the question, Mayor.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, one abstention. And one, I don't know, opposed?
No, right, approve it.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Item 13, approval to approve. Approval of resolution number 103-96 relating to warrants and payroll. Titus,
Yes,
I'll ask the question, do we have enough money?
we do have enough money.
I hope so,
and,
because I...
Is it paid?
Okay,
And everybody likes it.
let's have a roll call vote.
Once again, do you know if the balance is on these accounts?
They're in front of you, and the balances are as of the end of the month, so,
Okay, so this is not a current balance to today?
no, not at 8:18 and 30 seconds.
Call for the
warrants that are going
question.
to be paid tomorrow.
All in favor indicate by saying, please have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Flores?
No.
Councilmember Reyes?
No.
Councilmember Trina?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Canada?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Item F1, presentation of monthly police department report.
Move to receive and file.
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Item F2, presentation of monthly treasurer's investment report ending June 1996.
Move to receive and file.
Second.
I have a question under that. This is from June 1996 for $379,809. We still do not get this is already almost August 31st. We're still running 2 months behind on receiving updated on the, on what the finances are in the city, which is, alarming to me that we can't get annual or I should say daily reports or monthly reports on a consistent basis. This is 2 months old. Why are you?
31st?
Well,
As you said, it was.
it's already August.
It's
I mean, how
mine
come?
is the 4th 3.
I don't understand why they're so old. Why don't you get them updated?
Well, these were inside your packet. He's been inside your packet for a while.
But you couldn't
But it is in August 31st.
Well, by the time you have the next meeting.
Was there a motion?
Yes, there was.
To receive and file, all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Motion carries. Item 3, presentation of annual filing of the City of Hawaiian Gardens investment policy and strategy for the year 95-96. Do I hear a motion?
Move to receive and file.
Any questions?
Yeah, who wrote this recommendation?
Our finance director.
Where's that?
He's under.
Motion is to receive and file. All in favor of the motion,
Well,
indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed. We can't even ask questions about
Yes, the president is not here.
Well, he's not here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's not here. You're just going to approve
He'll
it?
be in his office tomorrow. You can come ask him tomorrow. I do.
No. He should be here at the council meeting. I know you don't want the public to hear the responses, so that's why certain people don't show up to council meetings.
We don't want to hear the question.
And then the city administrator is not capable of answering them on time. The city attorney can't either.
The investment policy is governed by the California Government Code, so it seems like I reviewed it, and it's the verbatim copy of what the investments allowed in the government code are.
Ms. Silva, I wouldn't trust you with an investment policy. I still haven't even gotten a copy of the last investment you did.
Okay.
None of us got to vote on it properly.
Well, perhaps you can look it up in your law library.
I will. I have a very prominent...
This time we'll go closed session. We have no closed session. Do we have oral staff reports?
None at this time.
Do we have oral council reports?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the question of the people sitting there. Good. Let me ask this question. Do you like, well, don't raise your hand, you don't know what the question is, man. How many likes the city call it Hawaiian Gardens? I got a reason why I'm asking that question.
Here we got this.
You like the name of the city of Hawaiian Gardens?
Change the name.
You like the city named Hawaiian Gardens? I got a great question.
I like my city, but I don't like the people up there anymore.
Well, that's okay, that's your prerogative, that's great.
So why don't you just put us down so low?
Nobody put you down low, nobody said a word to you.
Put down over our area and look for the system.
Let it go, Bob. Let it go.
Oh, fine, thank you very much. No, I had a reason why, I just wanted to know.
Well, you want to change the name now?
You ought to know.
How would I know? You're asking
Okay,
the question.
let's, do we have any other oral council reports?
Yes, I do. If I may, I would like to personally just thank the police department. And I can't remember that officer's name. My house was burglarized last week while I was at work, and I received an immediate phone call from the PD to come home. The young men were apprehended immediately, and I received my children's stuff back. And on top of that, the young men, I did not press any charges against them. And the officers took the young men and have them doing community service, cleaning the cars. They picked them up on Saturday, took them to the police department to clean the cars. And, you know, those kids' attitudes have changed enormously. They're having fun. They feel positive about who they are. A lot of wasted time is being used and doing good things for others. And I was very impressed how the officers and the police department handled it. And the most important thing is that I was very impressed how the young men changed their attitude and felt positive about themselves in trying to do something good for the community. So I'd like to thank you, Walter. I'd like to thank the officers. And that was a very good thing. Thank you.
Any other oral council reports? Do we have any other meetings?
No.
What happened to the public finance?
No, we don't have to go.
Public
We can take
finance.
that the next time.
We don't.
Okay.
At this
Move
time,
to
we stand adjourned.